What's good, neighborhood? I'm pretty sure my opinion on this game by itself is evident from my reactions as I've played through it for the first time in years. However, it's not simply my opinion on this game that'll be the focus here. So, for those of you that have joined me for the week-long LP, and for those that are just coming in for the review, I would like to formally welcome you to the Backlog. To celebrate the release of the anime on Netflix, our inaugural review will focus on one of the franchise stalwarts, Castlevania, Symphony of the Night. Symphony of the Night is widely regarded as one of the purest forms of gaming excellence. From its soundtrack to the dynamic sprite work and animation, the subtle use of 3D rendering for the sprawling and lush environments, very few times before or since has Castle Dracula and its adjacent environment been realized so fully and to such universal acclaim. Symphony of the Night is a game with so much impact that it has defined a specific genre and style of video game that has lasted 2 decades. But the question remains, in this new era of gaming and game development, even within the subgenre that Symphony of the Night has helped to usher into the industry, does this game stack up to what modern technology and techniques have been able to produce? While that answer may be obvious to you, it's best that we explore the how and the why. You picking up what I'm putting down, neighborhood? Yeah? Good. Let's get started. When you first boot up the game, the Konami logo that greets you after the nostalgic boot screen for the PS1 is bombastic and creative in a way that is emblematic of the 90s. Afterward, you go to the title card and are prompted to jump right into the game. The next menu is definite foreshadowing for the game itself, showcasing a haunting vocal melody as you go about the business of loading your file. If it's your first time starting a new game, things take a decidedly interesting turn, as the peal of a guitar riff signals the immediate start of the action. The prologue section of this game was designed to not only serve as a little backstory for the events of the narrative proper, but also as a nod to fans of classic Castlevania, as you get to replay Richter Belmont's final battle against the Big Daddy Vampire himself, Dracula. It's a great blend of old and new for the time, and the quality of CD audio definitely lends an extra clarity to the sounds of the coming clash. It's in this prologue that we get some of the most iconic lines in gaming, such as the age-old question and answer.
What is a man? A miserable little pile of secrets!
After Richter's victory, and the appropriately melodramatic text scroll plays detailing the story between games, we return to the action as you see a more detailed character racing through the forest at top speed. As Alucard, the son of Dracula, you battle through the initially darkened halls of the castle, but before long the lights come on, and not only are you greeted with the opulent castle interior, your ears are also introduced to the hybrid rock opera soundtrack. While the game takes place only within the castle itself, the different areas of this place are unique and replete with their own individual visual theme, musical theme, and a roster of enemies as menacing as they are detailed. From the castle library with its floating phantasms and skeleton duelists, to the underground catacombs complete with frogs, fish monsters, and whatever that rose woman is. Every area looks and sounds like a whole world unto itself. Hell, every area is so unique and so engrossing that although I only spent maybe 10 or 15 hours playing this game, it felt like I spent years, no, ages in each area, figuring out and exploring just what each has to offer. To those that are old ranch hands when it comes to action platforming titles, playing Symphony of the Night is like riding a bike. Once you learn it, you never truly forget. The controls are simple on the surface. The D-pad controls movement, the face buttons are for your basic actions like attacking, jumping, and special abilities, square, X, and triangle respectively, and up plus your attack button uses your staple Castlevania sub-items. However, in the transition from Richter to Alucard, things get a bit more intricate. As Alucard, your moveset opens up considerably, as you can equip both hands with various weapons, shields, and items to help you through the game. Your left and right hands correspond to square and circle, and keeping track of which hand is which will definitely come in handy later in the game. The triangle button action for Alucard is a backward dash that is great for evasion and repositioning. And outside of your basic actions, you'll eventually obtain transformation abilities that are mapped to the shoulder buttons. R1 for the bat form, R2 for the wolf, and L1 for mist. As an interesting nod to fighting game players, Alucard also comes with his own unique spells that are activated by inputting different D-pad combinations ending with either square or circle. In short, there are a lot of options for how you want to control Alucard. The other parts of this game's holy trinity of gameplay are the platforming and the exploration. The platforming by and large is tight and precise. Moving from one area to the next using your jumps, dashes, and transformations is intuitive and rewarding. However, there are some holdovers from the Castlevania games that rear their ugly heads. In particular, getting hit stun locked into a ricochet loop that will most definitely kill you if you happen to get really unlucky. There's also the annoyance of floating enemies being at just the right angle to stymie any forward progress you may want to make when dealing with certain particular platforming segments. Medusa heads in the castle tower? I'm looking at you! The exploration in this game and the emphasis on uncovering new areas via backtracking with newly acquired skills or items is one of the shining areas of this game. It's also a part of why the Metroidvania subgenre was even coined in the first place. There's also the Castlevania classic, breaking walls to find hidden passages that are off the beaten path, in addition to hidden items. Wall turkey, anyone? What's more is that in a clever reuse of assets, the game was basically doubled in size with the inclusion of the inverted castle. The entire map is flipped on its head along with the player's expectations of this already phenomenal game. Along with the topsy-turvy map is a new cadre of bad guys to cut down in each area and bosses to conquer before battling a revitalized Dracula for the true finale. Taking all this into account, you could build a pretty convincing case for why Symphony of the Night is considered a timeless classic in gaming. Now comes the point where we ask the main question of the backlog itself. Does this game stand the test of time? How does it stack up to its modern-day contemporaries? To answer that question, we can compare and contrast Symphony of the Night to more recent titles, like Shadow Complex, the new Strider, and even such titles as Darksiders and the God of War series. Of course, we can also use more closely related titles, like the other half of the Metroidvania duo, the Metroid franchise. It's safe to say that Symphony of the Night, and in particular, Super Metroid, aka Metroid 3, have been influential in game design for quite some time. The influence on exploration mechanics is readily apparent in Darksiders and God of War. The sprawling set pieces that require tight controls and a deft hand to fully explore are, indeed, holdovers from the age of Symphony of the Night. The stylized lore surrounding classic supernatural creatures like vampires, succubi, demons, and demigods permeates gothic fantasy storytelling to this day. Even though the gaming landscape has shifted from 2 dimensions to 3, and characters are now realized through high polygon count models instead of hand-drawn animated sprites, a lot of what makes the adventures of Kratos, War, and many others so great can be decisively traced back to Samus Aran, and especially Alucard. Castlevania Symphony of the Night is a game that is the technical and mechanical embodiment of rock opera. The gameplay is simple on its face, but meaty enough that complete mastery changes the game entirely. The subject matter hits hard as this tale of legacy and revenge pits father against son. The moments of respite and downtime are plentiful, but brief enough that they don't grow stale and always keep the action fresh. Between the sprites, the music, and the controls, there's a fusion of past and present. A symphony, if you will. of old school game design with modern tech and technique. The phrase, often imitated, never duplicated, certainly applies here. To complete the purpose of the backlog and answer the question of whether Castlevania's Symphony of the Night can withstand the tests of time and competition, the answer is most assuredly yes. If you're a gamer looking for a nice nostalgia trip, a fan of Lords of Shadow, or even an aspiring game developer looking for reference material, give this game a shot. From the moment you climb those steps as Richter to the last note of I Am the Wind, Symphony of the Night is time well spent and worth revisiting.
But you must always remember that the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is for good men to do nothing.
I understand.
Alucard, what will you do now?
The blood that flows in my veins is cursed. 'Twould be best for this world if I were to disappear forever.
I see.
Farewell then. We'll not meet again.